to Enlightenment of Change on webtalkradio.com. I'm your host, Connie Whitman. Thanks for joining us this week. So you guys have been following me or listening to the show. You know that I really deliberately chose that Enlightenment of Change as the show title because change is everywhere. We can't avoid it. Here's the deal. If we choose the change, that's awesome. But what happens when change is thrust upon us, loss of a job, someone dies, child sick, whatever it is, you have issues at work. How do you navigate that change? Well, what I have found in my 6 decades plus on this earth is that if we could communicate at the highest level or really connect with humans energetically, everything else will fall into place. So in the show notes, you find my free gift, which is my communication style assessment. You'll get 2 reports. First report is really just your natural communication superpowers. It's how your message lands without even thinking about it. Important to know. I would want to know that. Flip side, what happens when you're communicating with people who communicate 180 degrees different than you? How is your message landing? For me, that's really the more impactful report. So take the quiz and then read both reports with a keen eye. And I hope it helps you navigate change with a little bit more ease and grace. Now, today, to set the stage for my guests and my conversation, I chose a quote by Craig D. Lounsborough. I think I said that right. And Craig says, "I am the greatest obstacle to my greatest dreams." You know, as we learn new strategies, techniques that help us navigate life's up and downs, right, which are inevitable, we need to be ready for that change and to open ourselves to what might be. We all have blind spots, that's for sure. I just shared that with the communication piece, right? So we all have blind spots. And until the right course of action or solution or strategy shows up for you, we can remain stuck, not knowing how to move forward and really how to change. So today we're going to learn about the BeRelentless Method, which is a trademarked method. It's a surgical approach that deletes years of emotional baggage, identity, friction, and subconscious sabotage all in a single day. So who is this amazing guru that I speak of? His name is Bogdan Micov. Now, Bogdan is the go-to transformation expert for elite entrepreneurs, sales professionals, and leaders who want one thing: permanent emotional freedom, and they want it fast. With deep mastery across NLP, hypnosis, timeline paradigm techniques, quantum linguistics, and polarity integration, Bogdan created the BeRelentless Method to help us move the subconscious sabotage, and he helps you do that in a day. Now, he has survived a stroke at age 33, walked away from 50 million plus in high ticket sales, and Bogdan rebuilt his life around one core truth: you don't need more mindset work, you need deletion. And now, this isn't coaching, this is a system recoding. So Bogdan, I am really excited about our conversation, and I find your intro that you sent me quite interesting. So yeah, thanks for being on. I'm really excited about it.
I'm delighted to be here, Connie. Thank you for the invitation. And it's really my honor to be trying to share at least a bit of my knowledge with your audience here. And I just wanted to acknowledge you for all the hard work that you're doing and trying to help many people, especially when it comes to change, which is inevitable, isn't it?
Yeah.
We are meant to change. And I know that it requires a lot of effort, a lot of hours, a lot of preparations. But when you're doing it from the pure heart, I think it's priceless. So whoever is listening to this show or is watching on the social media, please show some love, give a 5-star review, put subscribe, like, share, because people like Connie, we need them all over the world. As more people are like that, the world will going to be a better place. Just think
Oh,
of this: when you have just your closest surrounding, your 5, 6 closest people, and they live in peace and calm and joy, how more enjoyable your own environment will going to be. So
amen.
please, guys, do
Thank you.
that.
So Bogdan, I'm laughing. I swear to God, I didn't pay him to say that. But I really do appreciate it. And yes, sharing is caring. So if somebody finds value in this show or in our conversation, sharing it, I think, is really important, right? Information or curated information that can help someone that's dear to us. Isn't that a beautiful gift, right? And it costs nothing.
It
Share a
really is.
link, easy peasy. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. All right, here's my first question. I'm intrigued by this topic, but how do you help clients permanently delete those emotional blocks that you say in minutes versus months? How do you do that? Can you give us some insight?
Well, first, let's start off beginning.
Yeah,
Uh, what is emotion? To understand um, uh, how do we delete that emotion, we will need to understand how do we create that emotion in the first place.
sure.
Now, many people will going to say, this makes me feel angry. He made me feel sad. She made me feel guilty. But that's more of externalizing problems, like something else outside of ourselves made us feel something. Here is the misunderstanding that most of the people are not aware of. Emotions are just chemicals, just a bunch of enzymes, peptides, proteins, hormones that are running through our own system, through our own veins and bloodstream, and is being released from that beautiful part in our brain called hypothalamus when it comes to it, which means it's our own body producing it. Now, here is the trick. But how the brain or the hypothalamus knows what type of chemicals to release? Cortisol, adrenaline, or oxytocin, dopamine, endorphin, or anything like that? Well, how is emotion created? Emotion, what drives our emotions is our thoughts or our thinking. Or even more precisely said, is the meaning that we assign on a certain situation that we think of, on a certain circumstance that we think of. And thoughts are meaningless in nature. They are just raw sensory data. However, us as a meaning makers, which is actually the meaning making process, co-depends directly on our own conditioning, on
Mhm.
our own value system, belief system, needs, and all the past experiences that we have learned consciously and unconsciously. Based on that, we create that filtering process, that certain different lenses, like deleting, distorting, generalizing of that raw sensory data, and we create for a meaning. So it's very simple to explain it in a simple words, right? So if you come into, let's say you come into my room right now at the moment and you see me, you don't know me, and there is a child on my lap and my hand is going bam, 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 and the child is screaming. So that's the situation. What do you see? Many people would say that's a child abuse, right? That's a child abuse. So that directly tells me about their own conditioning, and I know that they will never going to do that to a child, right? But if someone like me, that I grew in a completely different environment, in a different
Yeah,
conditioning, I will come inside, and if I see that, I will be like, what did he do? What did he do? Because I know I was educated that way in
yeah,
Eastern Europe, and I end up being pretty well
yeah,
in my life. I end up with, so same situation, same data, same thought, but two different meanings. In the first case, it was very negative emotion. They got angry. They will probably call the police. They will like social services and everything else. On the other one, we're gonna go and have a cheers. Okay, he learned the lesson.
yeah,
So to be able to get to change an emotion in an instant, the only thing that needs to change it is our way of thinking. But I'm not talking about this new age commercial mainstream positive thinking, like you don't care about it, but actually understanding that we are the meaning makers, and that's something that we have learned. And if something we have learned, we can unlearn it
yeah,
in a way that serves us a better purpose. That's the first step, right? Becoming aware that whatever we think or we believe is true is just our own perception on it. because that's how we were taught. That's the
Yeah.
first point if we want to literally take control of our emotions. That chemical reaction is just a feedback mechanism from your unconscious mind. It's a feedback mechanism for the quality of your own thinking. So if you feel, not in the stomach, you're sweating, your visceral area, you have, I don't know, stone in your chest while you're being angry or something else, that's your unconscious mind telling you, ouch, this hurts. Stop thinking that way.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful to have those emotions as um, protective systems, because in a real time shows up that we need to deal with something else out there.
Yeah. I want to share a story that you just made me think of. Perception is reality, right? I did a exercise once in training and presentation skills. It was just fun. It was like a very intro, low level, new people for new employees that were just getting into sales. So I said, well, level the playing field. I'm going to assign a color, and you're just going to write a visual description so that we feel we need that color, right? Keep it real simple. And go around the room, and everybody, pink, like the one gentleman, he got pink. I assigned, because then, oh, I wanted red, right? And you have all the people inner angry at me because they didn't get the color they want. So I choose and I say no give backs. So anyway, this gentleman got pink, and he put pink is soft and strong, and he related it to breast cancer, and right, beautiful job. Then we go around, and a woman, she came from another country that was at war, and her
Yeah.
color was orange, and her description was visceral. It was violent. It was bombing and death, and from this color orange, from the explosions. And we were in tears listening to this description. So she moved us. I have to tell you, she did a fabulous
Yeah.
job. And I said, she had English was a second language. She had an accent. And I said, I have to ask, where did you come from? Told me. And I said, oh my God. And everybody was like, we all got up and hugged her. And she said, no, she said, it's just, that's what the color represented for me. There was no horror for her. That color is what was represented in her mind. We all think of orange like orange and getting vitamin C, and hers was bombing. So perception, her thoughts of that color, that was the trigger for her. No judgment, not right or wrong, good or bad. It's exactly what
Yep.
you're saying. We have our own filters at work all the time.
Consistent. Well, perception is everything. There is no reality out there, only our own perceived reality. And people will
Exactly.
go, I always say, you don't live in the world outside of you. You live in your own thinking about the world outside of you. So
Yeah.
we are consistently feeling our thinking, and our thoughts, same like the clouds on the sky, are transient in nature. They are shift shapers, and we are not our thoughts. We are not our emotions, but we are like that ever existing sky that is observing those thoughts and assigns meanings of it. One cloud can look like a dragon, and in a second it can look like a pig, right? The same like with our thoughts. For me, the like you mentioned, the color orange means one thing. For you probably will going to mean different, and that really depends on part of our conditioning.
Absolutely. Yeah. How do you help clients, collapse those years of therapy? You talk about people that have had real trauma, of course, too.
Yeah.
These beliefs that we've implemented, whether they're real or not, right? It could be from something you saw as a child, but how
Correct.
you imprinted could be a faulty belief. How do you help them really do that transformation in a day? Do you have like a process or
So the BeRelentless method, it's my proprietary method that I have been developing it in the last decade or so, and it's kind of a fusion of um, the most advanced levels of NLP, quantum linguistics, polarity integration, inner conflicts integration, time paradigm techniques. Um, what else? Like in many different, even ancient techniques that I have picked up from around the world, from Tibet, from Hawaii, from absolutely ever, because I have become obsessed about this job for a very long time. And how does that collapse? Well, take it like this. You have a symptom, something hurts you. Nutritionist will going to give you, take more vitamins, minerals, and anything else. You will go to general admission doctor, they're going to give you painkillers for that symptom. You come to Bogdan, and he is the surgeon. I wanna literally work on the root cause of each problem, root cause of each emotional trigger. Because in my mind works like this. Most of the people focus on what is happening, why is this happening, and what if this continues happening? And that's even traditional therapy. Oh, what is happening? This. Okay, why is this happening? Oh, I had a trauma. Or they're just assuming that it was from there, and it may stems from way, way, way earlier when that type of pattern was created. And so what, why, and what if? I operate from completely different approach. I operate from the question how, but how in the context of how do we create our what? How do we create our why? And how do we create our what if? So that is a strategy. That is a process. That is a pattern that we are consistently running. Interrupt the pattern, interrupt the process, and everything else collapses out there.
Yeah, and you
So,
create the change you want.
and when you come to the root cause of a problem, which most of the time is unconscious, we cannot even remember it.
Yeah.
Right? So there is a specific way and specific approach, especially with the time paradigm techniques, where we just guide the unconscious mind to respond on symbols. And those symbols represent something towards that conversation. And we want to come to the root cause of the problem. We don't even need to recall if there is a certain significant emotional event. So let's say, just for everyone to understand better, each emotion, let's talk about the negative emotions now, because that's the subject. Let's suppose fear, anger, sadness, guilt, shame, hurt. Those are the 6 major negative emotions. Everything else, frustration, anxiety, that's a subset of emotions that are coming in. So all those emotions, they have their own timeline. So because one of the prime directives of the unconscious mind is to store the memories and then to archive the memories in a timeline. And each emotion has its own timeline. Why? Because there is always a first event when we experienced that certain emotion, and we create a template in our neurological system. And if someone has a phobia, they will tell you, oh, I got a phobia because I saw a snake when I was 6 years old and it created that type of phobia. But the phobia is just irrational fear, right? Which means the fear, it is as an emotion driving that type of thing. But how do you know when was the first time you experienced fear consciously? You cannot. Maybe you were just a month-old baby and the door slammed hard enough, so you got scared and the template was created in your nervous system. The same with the sadness, the same with anger. They don't give you the toy, you start, and then all the other significant emotional experiences, significant emotional events within the timeline from that moment until now, they're just piling up one on another, one on another, one on another, and they are overwhelming our nervous system. That's why it's called negative emotional residue, stays in our body, stays in our cells, stays in our in our nervous system. The moment when you go back and we literally delete that emotion from the root cause, when the first event, when it was created, what happens? Template isn't there anymore. And when template isn't there, if we are talking about fear, from the moment you were born until now, all the negative emotion of fear through that timeline have been released completely. So you come like a new blank slate. What usually happens with my clients is when we go through it, they're recalling a certain event that used to make them very angry. The memory is there, but there is no emotional charge because we literally delete the emotional charge. This is specifically very useful for limiting beliefs. Now, I'm going to call out many people in the mainstream out there. They're kind of lying to their clients, or they're lying to themselves, simply maybe that because they don't have enough knowledge. They're consistently reframing the same limiting belief. Why are you reframing the same limiting belief every day and day and day? Like, aren't you aware that does not work? Because they're not aware, probably, and probably not by their fault, they haven't come across knowledge like this, that every belief, to become a belief, belief is just a generalization of a thought practiced several times. But to become a belief, we need to make a decision to accept that this is true. Sometimes consciously, sometimes unconsciously. And most of our beliefs are created in the age from 0 to 7. And because our father said money is evil, and we were not even capable to question the validity, the truthfulness of that sentence, and we took it for granted, and we installed it, and we are not even aware of that part. So many people are going to try, let's say, that same limiting belief: money is evil, no, money is good, I can help everything, and they are reframing it. Well, isn't that easy until you come to the point of when you made that decision. Like I said, timeline, you made that decision there. And usually, very often, more often than not, every limiting belief, or a belief that doesn't serve us a purpose at all and affects us in a not pleasant way or not productive way, what keeps the belief alive is the negative emotion that is attached to that belief. So if we want to reframe belief, update, upgrade, or put any type of label that we want to put it, first we need to release the negative emotion that acts like a glue, like a cement, like an anchor to that belief. When that's done, then you can do whatever you want with that belief. You can change it, you can reframe it, you can absolutely, and you just need to generalize it, which means repeat it several times. Usually 3 times is just enough to do it on unconscious level, and the belief is changed. People are
Can you
reframing limiting beliefs for years, and if people that come into my office or on my sessions, they change a limiting belief within 3 minutes, 4 minutes. That's how much it takes.
can
Sometimes they
you
don't
share
even
an
remember.
example? Yeah, can you share an example? Because this is so curious. How can you give an example of a belief someone had, and then what that transformation looked like, how they felt, whatever? Can you share an example?
I will give you an example. You're dealing with salespeople a lot, right? So this is very common because I have been working with a lot of high level of sales professionals from around the world, and sales managers, and that was my forte at the beginning, because I was one of those sales guys as well. And one of the biggest, let's say, issues when it comes to belief, it was when they need to have a conversation with so-called sophisticated buyer
Mm-hmm.
or A-type personality.
Mm-hmm.
Even though those are 2 completely different things, but I'm not going to go into the details. Let's say A-type personality. So in their mind, they believe that person that talks that way, presents themselves that way, they are difficult prospects. And they will even try to convince me that they do not have emotions. They're not emotional. They buy on logic. Yeah, sure. They buy on logic. If you just heard me what I said, what creates emotion is our thoughts. Maybe they don't express it in front of you. Maybe they don't express it the way you want them to express it, so you can grab that emotional part and you can stick to it, so you can sell them. But they definitely feel that emotion, whether it's a positive and whether it's a negative emotion. It's going to be because in the fact we are always living in the feeling of our thinking. So we are having emotions no matter what. And that point is where salesperson will going to come and they will froze. Simply that belief says that they are difficult prospect. They already create a scenario, a story in their head. Those are difficult prospect because of that is happening. And what happens? Fear kicks in. What if I make a fool out of myself? What if I don't close the deal? What if he doesn't like me? What all of those fears come in, and they cannot even conduct the sales process properly.
Yeah.
So they freeze. Why they freeze? Because when we are under the influence of those negative emotional juice going through our digestive system shuts down, second our immune system shuts down, and third the frontal lobe, the frontal cortex, the CEO of our brain, goes offline, shuts down. So we are practically dumb because we have access to maximum of 20% of our intelligence. So it's not really smart, right? And that's why people, they will end the call or the presentation, however they sell, and they will come back and they will reflect on like, how I didn't remember to ask that. How I didn't remember. Yeah, you didn't remember because you were afraid and you were being unresourceful. You have the knowledge. Not that you don't have it, but you couldn't reach the knowledge because it was covered with the umbrella of fears or anxiety or whatever it is, and you couldn't reach it. What is the transformation? The moment when from that belief you remove the fear, people start having a real conversation, a real communication. They don't see a type personality. They don't see a sophisticated buyer from the other side. Perception has changed. Now they see a human being and they're operating from calm. And if there is no negative emotion, we're operating from calm, joy, compassion, empathy. Are we going to connect with the prospect better or worse? We connect better. If we connect better, are we going to actually get into our sales process in a deeper way? Yes, we will. Are we going, is it the prospect going to feel a better energy from our self coming out? So all that changed to way better results that is going on there. I know I just took a sales people here, but this applies to absolutely everything in life, whether is it career, whether is it the entrepreneurship, whether is it the sales, whether is it love, whether it's any type of relationship, whether it is a health and fitness. Our thoughts create the emotions, the belief supports the emotion, and we are stuck.
Yeah. And we rinse, repeat. It's so funny. You're right. Health. I hear all the time, like whatever your genetics is doesn't matter because they're constantly coming out with new things. They know so much more about our body, how we process food, whatever. Right. So people say, oh yeah, I'm probably going to be diabetic because my parents are diabetic. Why? Do you eat like your parents ate? Do you exercise more than you like? Why do you think you're predisposed? That's the story they tell themselves. And then they end up getting, of course, they have
well, with that way of thinking, they end up getting it. And it's I'm not going to talk from a point of law of attraction. Is we actually instruct our unconscious mind to start creating something like that. We are giving consistent instructions.
Yeah.
And the same way, like the mind can get us sick, the same way the mind can heal us, no matter whatever it is there.
Yeah. It's funny. I have another story, Bogdan, as you're saying this, I'm giggling to myself. I had one employee once, younger, and she said, we were saying about just having a general conversation and using the customer's name, as a respectful acknowledgement. And she said, oh, our customers don't like if we use their names. I had never heard that before. I said, really? Why? And she goes, oh no, they just don't like us using their names. And I said, has a client ever said that to you? Well, no. I said, did you ever use a client's name and they were repulsed by you? No. Then why do you think clients don't want you to use their name? She looked at me, she goes, I don't know. I said, can you just try using the customer's name and let's play and see what happens? She came back to the next training. She goes, what was I thinking? I'm like, I don't know. But she, in her head, my customers don't like me to use their name. Connie, I cannot use their name. And she's having this argument with me when it was based in nothing and no one had ever said it. She had talked herself into, oh, I can't do that. That's going to overstep. That's going to be pushy, whatever was running through her head. These are the kinds of things. It's a
She created her own story. She created her own story. So let's, like I've been surrounded with a lot of, let's say, sales professionals. And, one of in a sales process, to the best of my abilities, how much I understand, is there always, sometimes you will need to point out the consequences of inaction if the prospect does not do that, right? You need to ask that rather uncomfortable questions for them. But that's you coming from a place of caring about them, not because of you want to, fill up your pocket with commissions. And many of them, they cannot help their own prospects simply because they believe asking questions like this is inappropriate. That's a deep-rooted belief that asking that question is inappropriate, and I understand it. It's real for them in their own mind is real,
Absolutely.
but
Absolutely.
not in mine.
Right.
And
Well,
this,
because but Bogdan, we're out of time. But here's the thing, and your method, I love it, and I love that you have different modalities that you actually bring to the table. Because, like, the EFT, I don't like tapping. I've done it several times. I've had people. It for
yeah,
some reason I don't like it. I don't enjoy doing it. It doesn't move the energy. There's other things that are so
yeah,
much better for me, just the way my brain works, or whatever
yeah.
my energy works. So I love that you have all these modalities, because and we said it before we started recording. I don't know what I'm walking into. So I have to
Yeah.
go in with my arsenal of resources, talk to the customer, right, or the client, and say, okay, this is, I think, where we're going to start, based on, like, if I said EFT, I don't like it, I'd rather try something else first. Even if you think EFT might work, but you heard me, you'll try something else. So I like that you come to the table with all these modalities and have this expertise, and as well as getting to the root cause to shift. And it really is easier than we think if you have the right guide. So now, guys.
If you don't, if you know what you're doing, you know what is, sorry for interrupting you
Oh,
here,
no,
but
go
this
ahead.
is a very big misconception.
Yeah.
Misconception nowadays is that, trauma, emotional trauma we are talking about here, or all of that emotional problems takes time, takes years to shift or something. And I'm looking at them and I was like, how do you make even sense of that? Trauma is created in a second.
Yeah,
Phobia is created in a second. If your nervous system could create that harmful emotion in a second, what makes you think that you cannot reverse it in a second? You just need to have the right approach. And when
that's
it
right.
comes to the, and I've proven to myself, thousands of clients that I have worked with. I'm talking about from every caliber of people. I've been living in Dubai for 16 years, like coaching literally CEOs, royal family members, celebrities, most of those people under NDAs where that needs to be done. And I know, and also from other people that haven't been on that type of level, but they are going through something in life. So I've been very
Community,
diverse. I've been very diverse, and it always works. It always, if they want to
if they
work.
want to bring the horse
If
to the
they,
water.
because someone said to me, "Hey, you cannot hypnotize me," and I was like, "You're right. I cannot do hypnosis because hypnosis is not that I can hypnotize you. Hypnosis is self-hypnosis. You allow yourself, and me, I'm just teaching you how to go in a deeper trance a little bit. If we're talking about, let's say, hypnosis. But if someone said, "Yeah, I cannot be hypnotized," I believe you, my friend. Okay, cool. Move on to the next one, right?
Exactly. I love it. So, guys, he's very interesting. I think you could see that. Go to the website, BeRelentlessMethod.com. I will put that in the show notes. Also, follow him on Instagram. I'll put his Instagram link or handle in the show notes as well. If you have questions specifically that you're like, I want an answer from Bogdan, email him. It's Bogdan at BeRelentlessMethod.com. Again, I will put that in the show notes. And I know you have a free gift. If you direct message, if you DM him on Instagram and just in the message say Connie's podcast, what are they going to get, Bogdan?
Well, they will get one or more, let's say, of my three gifts. Those are kind of self-implementing exercises that they can do it. One would be like literally to change a belief by themselves, so they don't need me or something else. Whenever it is, in a very specific way of doing it, like self-implemented. Another one will be like literally get rid of, if you're anxious or anything else, just in several seconds to get out of that mode, so you can stabilize yourself and continue with your day or with the task that you're going in, or anything else. So it's going to be something very special, Connie. This is for you because it was pleasure meeting you here, and for your loyal listeners and audience as well. just mention Connie's podcast and I will reply back which one of the three do you want. I send you one and off you go. You enjoy yourself, you know. So this is something that only my clients have access to at this moment. But why not spread the love a
I
little
love
bit
that.
more?
Thank you. Thank you for being so generous. And again, everybody, I'll put the link in the show notes and I'll just put Connie's podcast in the DM and he will get you those three options so that you could pick the one that will be most helpful for you. Again, he's trying to customize instead of just saying, hey, here's the link. If it doesn't fit you, too bad. He's really trying to get in there laser focused to try to help you. So Bogdan, I so appreciate that. Thank you. A true joy getting to know you. Interesting conversation. Keep up the good work. Nice meeting you.
Likewise, it was a pleasure meeting you too.
Thank you. And thank you for joining me. And I hope you will join me weekly as we question, build, and discover no matter where you are and change in your life. I really do hope that my guests and I provide ideas, strategies, tips, links that you could tap into to try to change your journey, shift your journey, or navigate that change with a little more ease and grace. Information's a beautiful thing. If you do nothing with it, it's information in your brain. You have several call to actions. DM Bogdan using the Instagram link and just put Connie's podcast and you will get three options to choose from. Check out his website or email him if you have a specific question based on our conversation today. So multiple call to actions, whatever works best for you. Information's a beautiful thing. If you do nothing with it, we're leaving magic on the table, everybody. So again, pick one of those call to actions, and I hope it creates magic in your life. Thank you again for tuning in to Enlightenment of Change with me, your host, Connie Whitman, on webtalkradio.com. I am inspired that every week you tune in to hear my guests and my conversation, and truly hope that it helps you navigate whatever change you're facing, especially if it's thrust upon you, with a little more ease and grace. We all should be having a lot more fun in life, and if my guests and I can help take the angst out of that, we've done our job. I love you. I'll see you next week. Bogdan, thank you again. Have a great one, everybody.